Hey, g'day, boys and girls, Sheilas and blokes. My name is Jacob, and today is part 2 of my PAX AUS vlog mini-series. If you haven't watched my first video yet, then please check that one out before continuing with this one. I'll leave a prompt up on screen now, and also a link in the description for you to check out. And with that out of the way, it's PAX time. So, the actual day 2 of PAX was on Saturday. However, I was too late to buy a ticket for then, so instead my second day was actually on PAX's third and final day, Sunday the 13th of October. That morning, I decided not to leave the Airbnb as early as I did on Friday, since I assumed there was not going to be another PAX pre-show party for any of the following days. And again, just like Friday, I was lost both on and off public transport. It was even worse this time as most services didn't run on the Sunday. So a couple of missed stops later, I got off and walked the remaining distance back to the PAX convention hall. And upon entering the queue hall, I discovered there actually was a pre-show party today, and I missed most of it, just like I had on Friday. The lineup wasn't as bad this time though. I guess most people weren't keen on getting here early either. I was in the 5th row to enter, putting me quite a distance away from Sunday's countdown, complete with a repeat of the Gabe Newell jump scare. I suppose they just used the same B-roll for every day. Similar to Friday, my priority was getting to the One Piece booth ASAP to sign myself and channel co-star El Cabone up for another round of game trials. I really wanted to get a duplicate set of promos to pass along to Jezzychii, who's another of my channel's co-stars. He was the one who first got me into the OPTCG, but sadly he couldn't make the long trip south to PAX with me. On my stroll through the expo floor, I passed by the currently vacant MSI booth, allowing me an opportunity to properly inspect the Monster Hunter Cross MSI collab gear. I obviously love the design of these PCs. It's Monster Hunter related, so of course I would. These computers were first announced only a couple of months after I had literally just upgraded to a brand new computer at the end of last year. So very disappointingly, I didn't have the money nor the need to buy these at the time, but my god didn't I want one. The collab products here seem to be for display purposes only and not actually purchasable, according to a booth manager I asked. I was tempted to buy one, and if I was allowed, I probably would have picked up the laptop or just the PC case. But even though you couldn't buy them, you could still use these to play Monster Hunter World. Yeah, so World was the best I'd find here at PAX AUS when it came to the Monster Hunter series. Initially, I was reluctant to even buy tickets to PAX and travel the massive distance between home and Melbourne without any confirmation Capcom was going. However, the tickets were selling out fast, whilst the PAX AUS socials were slow to update attending parties. I had to take the chance and buy my tickets, hoping Capcom would announce they were bringing Wilds to Australia after my purchase. I mean, they were at the other PAX events overseas, so why wouldn't they come here? Well, bugger if I know why they skipped us. I guess they were worried we'd break their demo with how good we are at hunting the local monsters we share an island with or something. Jokes aside, I briefly left the MSI booth to sign Alicia, Cabone and I up for some more One Piece TCG, and then I returned to play Monster Hunter World. I had travelled a long bloody way for Monhun. I wasn't about to leave here without playing anything Monster Hunter related. Even if it was only World, which truth be told is a game I'm not a huge fan of. But I had bigger problems than what was on offer. You see, this was a PC booth, and I have only ever played Monster Hunter with controllers or a handheld system like the PSP or 3DS, which really are just fancy controllers with a screen on them. Playing this here, I was more confused than a noob hunting their first Malfestio. I struggled through the menus, accepting the quest, and it took me about 30 seconds to figure out how to jump down this ledge at the Coral Highlands base camp. Thankfully, some stranger the day before already equipped the hammer for me when they last played this save file, so I didn't have to do that part. I commend you, mysterious unnamed hammer bro. But anyway, I accepted the urgent quest for the save I was playing, which was to hunt a Palumu. I knew exactly where it would spawn and I headed right there, but as you can tell, I didn't know what the bloody hell I was pressing. The left mouse click was swinging the hammer, so that was something, and I knew at least the basic PC controls of moving with WASD and spacebar is to jump, or rather here it's to dodge. As much as I loathe to admit it, thankfully the defender armor was making up for my lack of poor controls. I knew I couldn't kill the Palumu, but it also couldn't kill me either. While hunting, I got a hand from a couple of fresh hunters checking out the game next to me with recording this footage. Hopefully, if you're watching this, then our little chat encouraged you to try playing the series back home for yourself.
This one came out like 7 years ago. Right. Yeah, new one coming out next year though.
Okay, what console do you play it on? Or
I play it on PlayStation and Switch.
Yeah, right, yeah, okay.
It looks really cool.
Yeah, it does look really cool, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
Are you going to post this video on your YouTube channel?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
A few minutes into the fight, I somehow managed to stun the creature. I decided at that point I wasn't going to further embarrass myself trying to play with the keyboard, so I quit while I was ahead. I abandoned the quest and left the booth to wait for Alicia Cabone where we met on the Friday.
Yeah, when I arrived, Jacob was like, hey, you wanna go play the Monster Hunter on the MSI section? I was like, yeah, sure.
I knew El Cabone was a PC keyboard and mouse kind of hunter. If anyone could beat that Palumu, then it was going to be him.
He himself couldn't kill the Palumu, and yeah, I'd spent like 7 minutes fumbling through the quest and I had to step in.
The PC was still free when we returned, but we discovered a couple of other problems on arrival. First thing, this rig didn't have the Iceborne expansion. The weapon combos we're used to were completely different now. And second, the weapons on this save were all unupgraded iron weapons from the start of the game. I cannot fathom how people at this convention were able to play the game this long without upgrading any of these weapons, but they somehow did it. This right here was about to be a very long hunt. Without the Iceborne expansion, weapons like Greatsword were a bust for El Cabone, so instead he went with the Sword and Shield. But even with the Sword and Shield's fast attack speed, no perfect rush combined with the minuscule damage from the base Iron Sword and Shield dragged this hunt on for over 20 minutes. But in the end, he did it!
Hold on, Cinema, hold on.
You know, I just use my basic Sword and Shield, but they do at least give us the Guardian armor, so it's you know, it might have lowered the accomplishment of this, but it was a grueling 20 minutes, okay? I earned it, I killed it, I earned it, and I get to say to Jacob, yeah, I did it. Lamau.
Palumu was defeated, and the MSI booth was another quest down. We left the game running on a cutscene for someone else to not enjoy viewing for themselves.
We just progressed the story.
Yeah.
And that was our PAX Monster Hunter experience. Not quite what we were hoping for, but it's the best we had. On the Friday, I even tried finding Monster Hunter World the board game over at the tabletop shopping area, but to no avail. I've been after that new Rotten Vale expansion for quite a while now. I can't seem to ship it to Australia from the official website, so I thought this might have been my shot, but just like with Wilds, it really wasn't. Anyway, there was still a lot more to see at PAX that day, so we walked a little up from the MSI booth towards the indie game section. We both wanted to check this area out on Friday, but we ran out of time, so we thought we'd kill an hour here now until our One Piece session began. The indie booths weren't as full as some of the AAA or quadruple A game booths were, but nevertheless, we didn't want to wait in line, so passed by a handful of games we were genuinely interested in trying out. I reckon now while editing this would be as good a time as any to share these games with you all. So first up was the game I most wanted to try out, Primordial Legends Hollow Hero. This is an action-adventure game where you play as a combat wombat exploring a fantastical world. This game is Aussie as fuck, and that's what I love about it. It's reminiscent of Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, but with hyper-realistic graphics and focusing at a slightly higher age demographic. Our Cabone had 2 games he wanted to try here. The first of these was called Fudomina. This game also caught my attention with the cutesy pixel graphic art style. However, once I saw it was an asteroid-style bullet hell, my interest piped down a little. I am not a fan of that genre, sorry everyone. Although the game is marketed as story-rich, and with that adorable art style, I may give it a try once it releases, playing it on easy mode to get through the annoying shooter sections quicker. And Cabone's other game was a horror-themed Metroidvania called Soul Devourer. It has this slick anime-esque art style with what looks like some basic yet very engaging gameplay mechanics. I'll link all of these games' Steam store pages in the description for you to check out yourselves. And now back to PAX. Just as we were about to give up and leave the indie section, we found a free booth for a game called Doomtide. This game's a dark fantasy city builder with turn-based dungeon exploration. Alicia spent about 20 minutes or so playing through the starting mission / tutorial, so let's let him do the review.
I get to test play an indie game called Doomtide, which is, I thought it was like a normal turn-based RPG game, but turns out it is a turn-based RPG game plus also a community building as well. I enjoyed the turn-based RPG part, not so much the building. That one's a little wonky.
It was almost 12 by the time we finished touring the indie section, meaning we had to head over to the One Piece booth for our match. But when we got there, there was no free tables, so we got asked to wait. Instead of just standing there though, I had the genius idea to duck over to the Shadowverse booth briefly to buy a couple more booster boxes. I still had the Uma Musume box from Friday that I hadn't opened yet, but I wanted to get a couple more, so I ended up buying a booster box of Set 1 and Set 2 to open later that afternoon.
Jacob, after I introduced him to Shadowverse and we played for that day, he got a little addicted, I'd say. Jacob went and bought a shit ton of boosters pack, and I'm used to seeing this, I was like, yeah, okay, fine, I'll get into it as well. And so I bought a booster pack. Why not? I got into the game as well.
It's funny how he first got me into Shadowverse on Friday, only for me to later get him even more into Shadowverse than he was before. I'll come back to Shadowverse later because now it's time for One Piece. This time around, I purposely threw the match to end the demo as fast as possible. Again, I got the feeling Alicia wasn't too big into playing this, plus, as it turned out, I confused our D&D session at 12:30 PM for a session at 2 PM, so we didn't really have the luxury of enjoying a proper One Piece match. I used my Sanji cards to punch myself in the face a couple times, and also chose not to block half the incoming attacks. I couldn't make the plan too obvious though. One of the refs recognized me from Friday's demo and caught on to what we were doing. He thankfully gave me a pass though. I imagine there was a lot of people repeating the trial for promos based on his response to remembering me. After the match, while handing in our tickets for the promos, I spotted some really cool looking Gundam trading cards being featured at the booth's desk. This was to promote the upcoming Gundam TCG releasing next year. I probably won't be collecting this one though. I really love mechas, but I don't particularly love the Gundam series. I don't hate it either, I am just indifferent to it. The only Gundam I've ever watched was Iron-Blooded Orphans when that released, God knows how many years ago. I loved both seasons of the show, but as I mentioned in yesterday's videos, I don't really watch much of the animes full stop, so I don't really have an interest in watching any of the other Gundam sub-series. My mecha love mostly comes from video games like the Phantasy Star series, Xenoblade, or the upcoming Mecha Break. My favourite Yu-Gi-Oh deck is Sky Strikers, not because it's meta, but because it's mechas and cute anime girls in mechs. Really, it's the perfect combo. But who knows, maybe next year I might be eating my own words, 3 booster boxes down into Gundam's trading card game. Immediately after we were done at the One Piece area, we both rushed over to the Let's Roll for Dragons booth to play our scheduled D&D session. The adventure was set up to cater towards any beginners trying out D&D for the first time at PAX, but my group consisted entirely of experienced players. The DM still handed us pre-made character sheets, alongside some custom-made minifigures they were also selling at the booth behind us. For this one-shot, I played the Wood Elf Ranger I uncreatively named Tree Lady.
And my character was named Sargon, and I know. But the joke is that during the entire campaign, I did not make a suck on these nut jokes. I did. just let them recognize it themselves. It's pretty funny on my part.
Since Alicia forgot to mention his class in that ramble clip he sent me, I'll just say it now, he played a Dragonborn fighter. Arguably the worst fighter I've ever seen get played because he didn't do any fighting. And the other 3 blokes at the table with us were a Dwarven cleric, a human cleric, and a half-orc sorcerer. Unfortunately, I don't remember their names, but in my defense, I am bad at remembering names in general. I don't even know my weekly D&D group's character names. Sorry everyone if you're watching. Our session was a wild roller coaster, going from fighting through an abandoned castle to becoming wedding planners for its beholder ruler, who was in love with an ogre staying at a nearby village. Our final 30 minutes took a complete 180 when the bride-to-be asked us to help her slay the beholder in exchange for a life-changing amount of gold. I was hesitant to accept her request since being a fantasy wedding planner was very amusing, but most of the party wanted to fight the beholder and I wasn't about to go against them. So we crashed the wedding with god tier rolls, quickly killing the beholder but accidentally getting the bride and all of the local villagers attending the wedding killed in collateral. But don't worry, that didn't stop us from getting fat stacks of cash though. Honestly, I had a lot of bloody fun playing this session with everyone at PAX, especially the older gentleman who played our Dwarven cleric.
D&D one shot was pretty awesome. I get to meet some new faces. I get to finally be a player and not forever become a DM. And yeah, it's a really good time.
It was roughly 2:30 PM when we finished, and both of us were hungry, so off we went to the kiosk to grab some grub. The kiosk was strategically located right next to the PAX official merch booth, and seeing as how the line wasn't as big as Friday, I decided to jump in there and buy a couple things before eating. Most of the stock was sold out by this point, as it was the last few hours of the final day, but I still managed to find this windbreaker jacket that I wanted to buy on Friday. I just didn't want to wait 2 or 3 hours in line. Speaking of Friday, Cabone and I were checking out a keychain and blushy booth that day selling this adorable Doki Doki Monica blush doll. But sadly we couldn't buy it because the store was having payment issues while we were waiting in line to purchase it. I wasn't very sure if the store would be open today, or if Monica would even be there if it was, but by some miracle, when we got there she was waiting. We both dropped a fat fitty for her, and then left to finally open our Shadowverse booster boxes. Only we didn't. Not immediately anyways. Passing by the Shadowverse booth on the way to the free play tables, we noticed they were selling set-free booster boxes for less than half price. So of course, I ended up buying one. And while we were here at the booth, I also wanted to run another trial match, this time using the opposite decks to what we played on Friday. So I was on Swordcraft this time round while Alicia was playing Forest. Unfortunately for him, his hand wasn't as lucky as mine was in our last trial. All he could play onto the field were fairy tokens and statless amulet cards, both of which couldn't protect his leader from being trampled by my army of knights. So yeah, long story short, I won the match. After the match, I decided to also purchase the Swordcraft starter deck I just played. I love the art for the cards in this deck more than the fairy one I bought on Friday. Keep in mind though, I am a little biased towards knights. If you couldn't tell, the Sir part in my username comes from the classical knight title. But anyway, we also got additional promo cards for playing the match. And so with those purchases complete, we left to finally find a seat and open our loot boxes. We both decided it would be best to start with my horse girls. I bought this one on Friday, but I forgot to open it then, so it was only fitting to start here. In terms of what's a good pull out of these boxes though, we both didn't really know, being new and all. The boxes have rarities listed on the side, so we could of course assume the legendary, super legendary, ultimate, and whatever the bloody hell an SP stood for were the goal. Out of my Uma Musume box, the highest tier of cards I pulled were legendaries. These here were the results. Not gonna lie, I was a little tilted about not getting any SPs. I had already decided I was going to main the horse girls, and I really needed some of those good shiny cards here. That's why I decided that when I got settled back home and at work, I would use my first week of pay to buy even more Uma Musume booster boxes. Alicia, mate, oh god, what the bloody hell have you done to me? Anyway, next up was that bastard Alicia with his booster box for set 1. Sadly, he also didn't pull anything above legendary, and even sadder for him, most of those legendaries were for spellcraft decks and not the abysscraft stuff like he was hoping for. And after that, it was my turn to open my set 1 booster box. After not getting anything cool from my horse girl box earlier, I wasn't expecting too much from this, but only a few packs into the box, something magical happened.
Oh, hey, that looks like something shiny. You see the border?
Yeah, I see something shiny. Oh my, that's a...
Is that an ultimate?
That's an ultimate. Yeah, that's
I don't really want to touch that. I don't want to... Hang on, hold on.
Hold up.
An ultimate rare John d'Arc evolved. I had not prepared for pulling a card this rare. I immediately got up and left to find card sleeves and a top loader to protect my shiny John. This card was valued at 75 Australian dollars. On its own, it almost pays back the whole $90 I spent on the box. And with everything else I pulled here added to that number, I can safely say I got my money's worth out of this one booster box. And also, here is some of the legendaries. These aren't exactly everything I pulled, since I kind of traded a few cards with Alicia while we were at PAX, and later I gave a few more to a mate back home to use in his Glory Finder deck. In hindsight, I should have really taken a photo of these at PAX right after I opened them, but lesson learned. For the final 2 booster boxes, we decided to cut the recording and open a box each to get through this faster. Doing a shoddy unboxing video like how we were was taking about 20 minutes per box, meaning we were already sitting here for over an hour sorting through cards. I took the set 2 box and Cabone took 3. My box didn't have anything as special as the John in the previous one, but I was still content with these legendary character cards I recognized from Granblue Fantasy. And whilst this one's not a legendary card, I found a Greya in this set as well. I am a huge fan of Greya for a couple of reasons. The obvious one is, she's a pretty dragon girl. I mean, if you know me and know my obsession with Aura, then yeah, it's kinda obvious. And also, I used her as a consistent Fire Grid team member in Granblue Fantasy throughout my first year and a half of playing the game, so I also have the nostalgia of her carrying my ass in event raids in my early Granblue Fantasy days. And over on Alicia's side, he pulled a super legendary Cosmos Fang. The card is priced at a surprising low of $7.20 AUD, but we threw it in a top loader anyway. You know, for a box that features a giant mecha on it, it's funny how most of the cards we pulled here were all Alice in Wonderland themed. Anyway, we could have stopped here, and really we should have stopped here, but Alicia felt reinvigorated after pulling me that super legendary in the last box.
He got a bunch of really cool cards, and I got jack shit for what I want. I mainly play Abysscraft, I'm on that evil pack, and I got are Runecraft cards, and I ended up being Twink Wizard, and I don't really like that, so instead of just accepting my defeat, I went ahead and bought a Runecraft deck, so that I can get to use all my cards in, and also bought another boost seeing Jacob getting all his cool cards. We keep opening it. I still got more magic cards for some reason, and yeah.
So he doubled down, but unfortunately for him, the Spellcraft cards just kept coming. We suspected they would, knowing our luck. Here's what he got out of both of his boxes. We did a little trading of cards around between us, and then prepared to leave PAX. The convention hall was closing in less than an hour, and everyone else was already packing up. We decided to walk one last lap around the expo and show floors, grabbing some last minute deals. On the way, I dropped by the One Piece and Shadowverse booths, asking if I could have any leftover promos. One Piece was completely out, or so they say, but Shadowverse gave both El Cabone and I a promo booster pack bundle each. We were walking around for about 20 minutes before the enforcers came in to shuffle everyone out. And as fate would so happen to have it, the security pushed us out of the door right next to MSI's Monster Hunter section. My last memory of PAX was the reason why I came here, to play Monster Hunter. And we all know how well that went. Ending it this way, it's almost poetic. Outside the Melbourne Convention Centre, we took a seat to open our promo Shadowverse packs. Alicia unknowingly chose a pack that featured Pokemon knockoffs, whereas I chose the one with all the cute anime girls. I particularly like this one right here. I wonder why.
Let's see how you handle this!
On the way out, we snapped one final shot together, then said our goodbyes.
Hey, come on, give me a handshake before we leave.
Yeah.
See you next year, hopefully.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, if I don't die in the outback before then.
And that was PAX. I had a lot more fun here over these 2 days than I initially expected. At first, I was utterly disappointed I wouldn't get to play Monster Hunter Wilds after planning this expensive trip and travelling over 1,000 kilometers, but through hanging out with a mate I've only ever spoken with over Discord, and trying out the other demos on offer like Sonic and Shadowverse, I ended up feeling content with it all. We both plan to return here next year, along with J3 and Flimsy Mango, so I hope you all look forward to it as much as we do. And I promise to get better at vlogging by then, so in order to take my first step towards that goal, well, I ask you just give me a couple seconds while I walk down to the beach.
Alrighty, I'm on my way down here to find myself a Pleshioff. Hey, g'day, Jacob here. I just thought I'd pop my face on camera here at the end of the video because honestly it's pretty fucking hypocritical of me to show hundreds if not thousands of people's faces at PAX and not show my own. I know I hide my face in my videos a lot and as much as possible even when I'm filming on camera, but that's just because I don't think I'm that interesting to look at. I much prefer my little PNG of Johannes Brixton Very reminiscent of the old YouTube videos I grew up watching and the style I'm trying to mimic. I'm not a VTuber, I don't want to be a VTuber, I don't like VTubers, so now this will finally dispel that theory and specifically talking to you, Neo. But this doesn't mean I'm going to be showing up in videos more often. I'm just going to keep it focused on the gameplay and what's in front of me that I want to be talking about, you know? It's my channel, but I don't want to be the face of it. Now, I'm just down here at the South Melbourne beach because I'm staying in an Airbnb around here. Thought I'd be able to do like a little video outro segment with the sunset, but it is a bit of an overcast, if you can see. The sun's setting now, but it looks terrible. A similar thing happened yesterday when I went to the 12 Apostles. Just all around pretty bad luck with weather on my part. Anyways, that 12 Apostles trip, along with many other cultural Australian sites I went to, I'll be uploading in a separate video. I thought that'd be kind of interesting to just show these kind of sites I visited off, give a little bit of history of them, just show them to people that don't really know about them. Like, I'm Australian, I love Australia, I love my country. But most of my viewers from overseas, mainly America, so just maybe just giving you the little history lesson as best I can of where I went. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna like transition over to showing the loots I got from PAX Day 2, and then I'll round out the video with a outro.
Here is my day 3 loot. Let's start over here. I don't really have this stuff sorted in order I got it, it's just how it best fits on the bed. So I bought 3 booster boxes for Shadowverse. Out of these booster boxes, my best cards were the Ultimate Rare John D'Arc. And out of this Mecha one was this Cosmic Fang. If it'll come into focus. Not really. I did another trial run for a Shadowverse promo, and this time I trialed the other deck I didn't get to play, which was the Swordcraft deck. Personally, I like the art on the knights a lot more than the fairies I bought. No brainer given Sir Jacob Flames. I did get more Shadowverse promos than just the one for playing the trial though. I kinda snuck up as everyone was getting kicked out of the event, asked if they have any leftover promos I could have. And the booth organizers generously gave both me and Alicia a pack. So I opened up the set 7 and got those, though I think one of them, that one, was out of the set 6 boosters Alicia opened. We just did a trade, and I like to look at that guy more than the other one I had. Anyways, we hit up the One Piece booth again, and got duplicates of the promo decks and the promos. So I'll be giving one of them a J3. Then over here was a gingerbread cookie I bought as a donation. I guess it was more a donation to a cancer charity, and they give you the biscuit, or you buy it, and I'm like, who really cares, you know, it went to them. And I bought that before we played D&D. I was kind of hungry at the time, then I bought it, then realized I don't really want to eat chocolate, so it just sat in my bag. Over here we have some various knickknacks. I got these two as a purchase bonus thing with my PAX merch. Down here is a little MSI pin I got for playing Monster Hunter World. Unfortunately, I didn't get to play Wilds. Then there is a coin Alicia got when we were haggling with these guys at a dice booth. So I got that gold dragon one. Kind of like the compass more than anything. But yeah. Then there was this little lolly thing I got out of a Halloween lantern thingamabob at the Doomtide booth. And these were the card sleeves I bought to sleeve my good cards in the Shadowverse boosters. Then I got Monica finally. I tried buying her on Friday, but the store closed down right as I was going to buy it. There was payment issues and they wouldn't take my cash, but thankfully she was still there, so I got one of her. Then there was the PAX merch I bought. I bought an extra bag to carry all of the cards I bought, and they fit just perfectly. Then, because these were really cheap, I bought a coffee cup, which I'll be using tomorrow on the very long ride home, and a t-shirt that, I don't know, it was $10, you know, why not? And the reason I got in line originally is I wanted this very nice jacket. I quite like it. It's a windbreaker jacket. It's different to the normal kind of jacket I typically wear, which is just a basic zip-up hoodie. So yeah, I got that one, but it was really hot, so I wore it for like about 30 minutes, and then I took it off because Yeah, today is a stinker. Don't let anyone tell you Melbourne's cold, man. Bloody lying. I packed 3 pairs of Trachydacks, and I really wish I brought something a bit better to wear to these events. Anyways, that's my day 3 loot. You can see all of it there. I'm going to have to pack everything I got now into that bag. And yeah.
For day 2, I got the Monica plushie, 2 boxes of Shadowverse booster cards, and the Runecraft starter deck. Anyways,
There's my face for anyone that watches it. Thanks for making it this far to the end. And yeah, like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't. Open to dialogue in the comments. Don't really know what there is to comment on just yet. Normally I do the outros after I've done all the other cool stuff in the video, but yeah. And don't subscribe for more content like this, because I'm not fucking making it. I'm going back to Monster Hunter video essays and whatever bloody else kind of video essay I want. Alright, that's all. Have a good one, people. Cheers. Oh man, all this vlogging the past couple of days has drained my stamina. I'm gonna go back, cook a well-done steak, and have a bloody good sleep.
Mmm, so tasty.